This is your home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. Thanks for joining us on Joy News Prime. In our headlines tonight, delay in the release and implementation of the Joy Report is to enable government study the authenticity and assess its security and political implications. We'll hear from a committee member, Professor Vladimir Chidanso.
We end there, we give it to government. Government studies 2-3 things. Number one, is the report authentic? 2, how do we implement it? That one, they don't ask us. 3, the implementation. What are the security and other political implications?
He's also cautioned America against imposing homosexuality rights on Ghanaians.
It is some sickness. Let us accept them in society as people who need help, and let's help them. Why are they not able to go to Saudi Arabia or Afghanistan where they were fighting them? To go in the Kandahar Square and say gays have rights, they would have seen where the bullets will fly.
Also tonight on Joy News Prime, Ghana Water Company makes case for an increase in tariffs due to increased operating costs.
An increase in tariff is eminent because PURC reviews our tariff every 2 years. 2019, they reviewed it. We didn't get much, but we had to. 2021, we're expecting a review.
Water to flow in the homes of over 20 communities in Accra West after repair works on the wastewater treatment plant nears completion.
They are on time, ahead of schedule, on time on some of them, ahead of schedule on some of them, and they promised us they will finish by the close of today and test run, and people will get water.
Also tonight, Africa Education Watch petitions CID over leakages recorded in this year's West African School Certificate Examination.
I just left the CID headquarters.
Okay.
We've been in discussions with the CID since yesterday. Because we have been monitoring the WASI and the activities of question marketers and people who have been doing the business on the ground.
Okay.
Meanwhile, WAEC has confirmed the circulation of some papers of the ongoing exam. We'll hear from them later here on Joy News Prime. Nigerian traders in Ghana appeal to President Akufo-Addo to intervene in what they say are threats by their Ghanaian counterparts to unleash violence on them. And in business, Ghana's economy expands by 3.9% in second quarter of this year, according to provisional figures from the Ghana Statistical Service. We'll hear from government statistician.
As I indicated, is the contraction in the oil and gas of about 10.7% that led to the 3.9. Otherwise, would have seen a much bigger growth for the second quarter of 2021.
Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Fan of Fast studios at Kokumlemle here in Accra. We're your digital TV because you are free to air DSTV, channel 421 and GoTV 144. My name is Ernest Minu. Stay tuned in for the details. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. The Ghana Water Company Limited expects an increase in tariffs this year due to high operational costs. Chief Executive Officer Dr. Clifford Barmer says millions of Ghana cedis from internally generated funds have been pumped into the rehabilitation and purchase of equipment, especially at the wastewater treatment plant, to improve supply to customers. The plant was shut down on Monday to replace broken valves and meters, cutting off the water supply to more than 20 communities in Accra West. After 80% of work done, officials of the Ghana Water Company and the Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Abnadapa, was at the treatment plant earlier to inspect the work done. Mamesi Thompson has more in the following report.
Officials of the Ghana Water Company Limited, led by CEO Clifford Barmer, showed the Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Abnadapa, the amount of work done at the wastewater treatment plant. Workers had replaced old broken pipes with modern industrial ones and state-of-the-art meters to ensure maximum efficiency. According to Dr. Clifford Barmer, the equipment costing millions of Ghana cedis were purchased with internally generated funds.
This particular one, it is not wholly wager. We've purchased, you saw the big meters, the meters there. 426 of them have been purchased in our stores. We've done 7 in Pong. We are doing 3 here. 5. We are doing 5 here. And we are doing it across the country. We've again have in our stores 226 of industrial meters. So all the industries that are complaining of their meters not working will have these new ultrasonic ones that we are going to replace. And all this are all that we paid internally. And there are tens of millions of Ghana cedis. These are imported. You saw them, Siemens. These are not, and they are not going to go reading them. They are going to relay the numbers to us in the office.
Dr. Brymer makes a case for a tariff adjustment, indicating that the cost of operations had surged following the purchases. According to him, a review will help offset cost and make operations efficient.
We have been able to take what we have now without asking for an increase in tariff and tried as much as possible to get some of these things done with what we have.
So how much?
An increase in tariff is eminent because PURC reviews our tariff every 2 years. 2019, they reviewed it. We didn't get much, but we had to. 2021, we're expecting a review, and the process has continued. I am saying that my cost of operation has increased. And if I am supposed to spend money today and rehabilitate the system that should have been rehabilitated 50 years ago, 25 years ago, that's a tariff that was consumed already. Where am I going to get our resources to do that? And what they are giving to me is to make sure that I am efficient, and that is moving forward. So how do you play around these two to make sure that you take care of what didn't happen yesterday, and then take care of what you need today, and also plan for tomorrow? So and that's what makes it the challenge. When exactly it's PURC. It's an independent regulatory body. We do not influence them. All we do is to carry our input to them. They do the analysis and come to their judgment.
Meanwhile, the over 20 communities cut off from supply over the shutdown are to get water in 48 hours. Cecilia Abnadapa is the Sanitation and Water Resources Minister.
We made the trip today. I was pushing it to tomorrow because we have cabinet today. But fortunately for me, cabinet is pushed back a bit. So we took the opportunity to come in here. And I'm happy we've come. They are on time, ahead of schedule, on time on some of them, ahead of schedule on some of them. And they promised us they will finish by the close of today. And test run, and people will get water.
Reporting for Joy News, Mamiesi Thompson, Wija, Accra.
Let me take you to the Ashanti region now, and displaced traders at the Kumasi Central Market are protesting against the Metropolitan Assembly's relocation plan. They described the resettlement to the racecourse market as poorly planned. City authorities over the weekend asked the traders to move to satellite markets. This was to pave way for the second phase of the KJTR market redevelopment project. But the traders say they are disappointed in the management of their relocation. Love FM's Mona Lisa Frimpong has more in this report.
The yam, meat and tomato traders are contesting the allocation of a piece of land at the racecourse market to the second-hand cloth dealers. Series of confrontations have ensued between the trading groups as they struggle to access space to ply their wares.
We have slept here for 4 days. We have left our children in the house to fight for this place.
Whilst the yam, meat and tomato sellers claim the land was allocated to them by the KMA, the second-hand cloth dealers say they were asked by the Ashanti Regional Minister to occupy the land.
Ashanti Regional Minister. And I did have my yourself. Sunday,
the Ashanti Regional Minister gave us the land. We came on Sunday only to meet the yam, meat and tomato sellers trading here. This morning, the yam traders are refusing to leave. However, they still stand by the decision not to leave.
And one year, Assassin, bien, baby, Sasasi, and yet, ye can't buy your phone. Any uniform say, Yami more China, ye also.
The yam, tomato and meat traders have bemoaned the unfairness in the land allocation. They have vowed not to vacate the piece of land. Yafuriwa is queen mother of the yam sellers.
The KMA brought us here. Traders selling foodstuffs must be the first to be considered before any other trader. A land was allocated to them down there, but it is alleged they sold it off.
Public Relations Officer of the KMA, Henrietta Efia Kunedu, says the piece of land is to be occupied by second-hand clothes sellers.
Last week, the second-hand clothing appealed to the RM, who also spoke to those who are using the place as their holding area to move for the second-hand clothing people to come and ply their trade there. So in effect, it means that the space is for the second-hand clothing dealers. It's for them. The yam sellers and the plantain and others have been given slots when you are entering the market on your left. That has been given to them to ply. But then Mensha said he doesn't want them so close to the stream, but rather we should move buses to that place so that they will in turn go and occupy the holding area where the buses are now, because that space is bigger and it can accommodate them for even to have a space left.
There have been several press conferences by the leaders of the various unions at the market, and we hope that the city authorities will meet with these unions to prevent further scuffle in the land allocation for trading. From Kumasi for Joy News, Mona Lisa Frimpong reporting.
A member of the committee set out to probe the Ijura disturbances, Professor Vladimir Chidanso, has justified government's delay in the implementation of the committee's report. In his view, government is studying the authenticity of the report and also assessing its security and political implication. The Kingsley Kumsin Committee, shortly after the public hearing, presented its report to the Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry, for study and implementation. But after close to 2 months, the report has not been made public, nor has any action been taken. This is despite calls by the MP for the area and family of the late Kaka to make the report public. Speaking to my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson, Professor Vladimir Chidanso observed that in spite of the work executed by the committee, they cannot compel government to immediately operationalize the findings.
Our work ended with our submission of the thing to the government, to government. Right. And it ends there. It ends there.
You spend time and energy to investigate the circumstances.
No. Wait a minute. The mistake we make in such situations, commissions or committees, is that when we finish, people expect those of us who, or those persons who were put on the committee to do the implementation. No, absolutely wrong. Absolutely. We end there, we give it to government. Government studies 2-3 things. Number one, is the report authentic? 2, how do we implement it? That one, they don't ask us. 3, the implementation. What are the security and other political implications? That one does not lie in the purview of the committee members.
But there's a call that government should implement it. The delay is pushing other people to
that delay does not come from the committee. And that call does not come from the committee. We finish out, you send your boy to a place to fetch you water, you bring the water. The water is for bathing, isn't it? When I bring the water, whether you bath or not.
Is the delay justified?
I don't know about that.
Your own work that you've done.
No. Where is the delay? The question should go to government. Why are you not implementing?
Have you asked them why they are not implementing?
No.
After you submitted, it's been over a month.
No, it's not our work. I will still insist that it's not our work. Legally, we don't have the right. We don't have the right. And morally, even, it's ununderstandable that, you will go back and say, government, I brought you the report and why I need it. No, please, let's not go there. It's not fair.
Now, Dean of Academic Affairs at the Ghana Armed Forces Staff and Command College is cautioning the Americans against imposing the rights of homosexuals on Ghanaians. Professor Chidanso said he was incensed by the decision of the American Embassy to hoist LGBTQ plus flags as solidarity in the midst of massive protests against the rights of these persons in the country. Speaking at an event to mark UN International Day of Democracy, he insisted homosexuality is not a right and challenged the Americans to advocate rights of homosexuals in the Arabian countries if they are apostles of human rights.
I think feelings cannot be made human rights. You feel like that, keep your feeling. For me, it is sickness which should be. It's like when you have malaria, you feel like you want even to die. That one, we help the doctor to help you to come up. So if you feel like a woman, you feel it. Yes, we are people whose features look like a woman, the face, the voice. But to say it's a human right, so you must spread it. I think I have an exception to it. You might pardon me, but I won't apologize for saying so, because then pedophiles, those men who, when they see little girls, they want to sleep with them, so little boys, it's also a feeling. Is that a human right? What about armed robbers? When they get up, the finger is saying, go shoot and steal. Let us not spread that. That thing's, I'm a Christian, but put the Bible aside. But let us not spread that. It is some sickness. Let us accept them in society as people who need help, and let's help them. That's my take. So Parliament, when you begin to bring a law that says it's human right, I'll fight you. America is asking Ghana, and what do you call it? The American embassy went and hoisted the flag of, what do you call them? The gays and the lesbians here, right? Why did they not do the same thing in Saudi Arabia? Yeah, fine. Let the American ambassador in Saudi Arabia, let the EU in Saudi Arabia attend gays and lesbians meetings. We must be very careful the way we accept things. Why are they not able to go to Saudi Arabia or Afghanistan, where they were fighting them, to go in the Kandahar square and say gays have rights? They would have seen where the bullets will fly. Africa had met on food security in Tanzania. I went there as a scholar. And I was sitting down. I have no right to talk. We were sitting down when Ban Ki-moon came. UN, that's 209. Ban Ki-moon comes as UN Secretary General. And in his keynote address, whilst we were thinking about food security in Africa, he was concerned about the rise of gays and lesbians. If I had a right to go to the podium to beat him, I would have done it.
But in a sharp response, MP for Medina constituency Francis Xavier Susu argued that the debate over the rights of homosexuals in the country is a misplaced priority. He believes there are more relevant and pressing issues affecting the lives of the citizenry, including unemployment, that should engage the attention of the state.
There are what I call weightier matters of concern. I've been a human rights lawyer and been in that space for over 10 years.
Isn't that clouding your judgment to why you want the LGBT individuals to have their way?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I don't think that it's even. I don't think it's a conversation about having an LGBT around. That's not a conversation. The conversation has to do with what must we focus our attention on as a people.
We shouldn't focus on LGBT.
I think that it's completely misplaced.
It's going to corrupt, many have argued that it's going to corrupt the moral values of the young ones.
You know what? As we speak now, in terms of priority, what I will be talking about as far as young ones in Ghana are concerned is free basic education. Free basic and compulsory education, which our young ones do not have. I would be concerned about the lack of classrooms. I will be concerned about the lack of desks. I'll be concerned about the lack of toilet facilities in some of these schools. I'll be concerned about the lack of potable water in and around us. I'll be concerned about the lack of roads. I'll be concerned about the lack of planning. I'll be concerned about the huge youth unemployment in this country. These are the things that must engage our attention. So I think that we need to be very, very careful where we channel our energy and our strength. This is in no way an endorsement of a practice of LGBT. The reason is that our culture would not permit it.
Your colleagues who drafted the private members' bill to Parliament got the backing of the religious society, the imams, the clergy, and all of that. They are making a call on members of Parliament to take a stand on this issue. Where do you stand?
I am against LGBT, but I believe that its advocacy, either for or against, is completely misplaced.
Now let's do some stories on education. Africa Education Watch has petitioned the Criminal Investigations Department of the Police Service over leakages recorded in this year's West African School Certificate Examination. The education think tank has closely monitored this year's papers as part of a project to deal with the canker. Speaking on PM Express, speaking on the Pulse on the Joy News channel, the Executive Director, Kofi Asare, said they have presented evidence to the CID, which has begun investigations.
I agree with WAEC that if questions leak 30 minutes or 45 minutes to the scheduled time for examination, it may be deemed not to be widespread if they have a means to verify what is widespread in an era of social media. But this is the case where we intercepted these questions the previous night. Okay. And we have evidence. And indeed, we have shown some of the evidence a result of elective mathematics to WAEC. On the platform that we intercepted it, we went there with a live platform and showed it to them that as before midnight, around 11 o'clock, these questions were already in circulation. We got the first question at 4 a.m. And then we had the management one yesterday.
What's your source?
The questions are sold, so we also buy them.
Oh, really?
They are sold.
From who? So if you know the people who you're buying from, why are you not pinning them out so that they can be arrested or sanctioned?
That is why I'm saying that I just left the CID headquarters. We've been in discussions with the CID since yesterday. Because we have been monitoring the WASI and the activities of question marketers and people who have been doing the business on the ground for over 2 months now. 1 month before WASI started. You understand? But the issue is that when you package the evidence and you take it to WAEC will say the questions circulated minutes before the examination. When we got the questions, where people are actually buying the questions on platforms with over 100,000 subscribers on 10 hours before. So we have given all the evidence we have to the CID that it should investigate. And then our interest is that we want to ensure that the people within WAEC system, who some bad elements, who are taking advantage of their positions in the system, especially between the depots and the schools, are dealt with, whether it's from WAEC, whether it's from GAS. But they are the two people who normally handle the questions.
So this move by EduWatch comes on the back of another leakage that has resulted in the rescheduling of some papers. The West African Examination Council at a news conference confirmed that 2 papers in the ongoing West African School Certificate Examination have been leaked or circulated. Now, head of Test Administration, Ohene Mante, said aspects of the mathematics and English papers found its way into the public domain, especially on social media before the exam took off.
The cheating social media groups were in full swing prior to the conduct of the mathematics elective and English language papers on 9 and 13 September 2021, respectively. The council the circulation of numerous versions of questions, both printed and handwritten, on most of the groups referred to earlier. After the administration of the test, careful scrutiny of the several versions received indicates extracts of parts of the questions for Mathematics Elective 2 and Section A of English Language 2 were circulated on social media platforms. Initial investigations and further information received indicate that the circulation was not extensive. Additionally,
Mante also told Joy News that the council has received more tip-offs concerning examination practices from tutors in various schools across the country.
The decadence in society, nobody can convince me that crime as it was in 2020 and crime as it was in 2021, whether it is coming up or coming down, it can be the same. But this year, the way we have started, but we are receiving reports a lot of reports every day from centers, whatever. We never received such reports the previous year. The previous year, we never received such reports. But for this particular exam, it seems like some of the tutors and the teachers are so worried about things that are happening.
So you mean the schools and the tutors are giving you reports?
Yeah, people, that's why we mentioned it in our text, the text that we receive tip-offs. Those schools that we mentioned here, it's tip-offs from their own school, people who are giving us the tip-off. Concerned tutors who are just there, they are giving the tip-offs. And we always receiving reports here, reports there, all over. And we never received such reports. But it will be difficult for me to make definite conclusions as to whether the malpractices happening in the school this year are higher than as happened last year.
But if you look at the rate at which the reports are coming,
the fact that we did not receive reports last year does not necessarily mean that nothing was happening.
WAEC has meanwhile announced measures to deal with these leakages, including withdrawal of some invigilators. Let me bring you details of a statement released earlier today. It says, after administration of the test, careful scrutiny of several versions received indicates extract of part of questions for Mathematics Elective 2 and Section A of English Language 2 were circulated on some social media platforms. Reports from initial investigations and further information received indicates that the circulation was not extensive. Additionally, the Council would deploy various internationally accepted assessment procedures and interventions within its domain to guarantee the credibility of results. Consequently, those found culpable will be sanctioned. So these are a list of schools that are under scrutiny by WAEC, Jesu Senior High Technical School, Anyo Afiajanidba, SHS, Tepa SHS, YGS, Senior High Technical School, King David College in Somanya, Christ the King SHS in Obuasi, Modern SHS in Pong, Modern SHS also in Kintampo, Oyoko Methodist SHS, and Klo Agogo SHS. It says strict internal controls and compliance by all staff to the security regulations of the Council, and these are the measures taken. The second is increased inspection and monitoring at the various centers. 3, withdrawal of some supervisors and invigilators from providing services for the Council pending further sanctioning. Number 4 says that scrutiny of scripts of schools where cheating has been reported. Where mass cheating is established in centers, the appropriate sanctions will be applied. And the 5th measure is that continued tracking of rogue websites and social media cartels in collaboration with the security agencies. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Peter Notu Kotri. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on Joy News Prime. Your committee met with WAEC last year over the same issue. They gave you the assurance that they were going to deal with this issue. And here we are again with another leakage, even though WAEC is insisting that these are just circulations. Disappointed?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Are you disappointed in the happenings that we are seeing today, given the fact that you met with WAEC last year?
Your line is very faint, but I think you asked if I was surprised.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, actually, I was surprised because WAEC had given every indication and assurance that they were going to make sure that there will be no leakages this year. So when it started, and in fact, I get worried because if you promise us that you were putting in place stringent measures, and that will make sure that experience any leakages, only to experience it again this year, I'm scandalized.
But what were some of the things that they told the committee they were going to implement to address this issue? If you can share with us.
No,
we seem to have a terrible connection to the ranking member on the Education Committee there, Peter Nochikoto. Hello, sir. Can you hear me? We seem to have lost him there. We'll re-establish contact. When we have him, we'll bring you the rest of that interview. Meanwhile, the Education Minister on a tour of some senior high schools says steps are being taken to introduce serialization as one of the solutions to deal with the issue of leakages.
We are even talking about serialization, which means there can be about 5 to 10 versions of the same test. So if somebody creates a rogue website and says this question has leaked, there are about 10 versions. How do you know that question is even going to be in your school? Or even if it comes to your school, how do you even know that that will be the question that you're going to be answering? So we are talking to work about a number of things that will make sure that we put to rest this argument as to whether something happened, didn't happen. If we take away the opportunity to say that, yes, we have 10 versions of the test in English, and no students would then rely on anybody going to leak questions because they don't know what is going to show up on the exams. Even if version 1 leaked, what about version 2 to 10? So I believe that just as is being done in other jurisdictions, digital exams, of course, is the future. And that future should be happening in this country. But before we get to digital, we should be looking at serialization.
Let's go into the phone lines again. We're joined by the ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament, Peter Notri Kote. Thank you very much for joining us again. I just asked the question before we lost you about the things that WAEC told the committee they were going to implement to address this issue.
Yeah, you know, largely the leakages come about as a result of human interference or human interface. You know, they deal with people who handle the questions, the question papers, the printing, and all those things. So they gave us the assurances and the indication that they were going to make sure that the human interference or interface was safeguarded, that those who will handle the papers will be people who will they will make sure that they did not or nobody had access to the questions. Then we advised that whenever they were able to identify the culprits, that is those who leaked the papers, they should punish them, make their names public, and the punishment given to them. And last year we expected that they would have done that. They have not done so. So if you don't name and shame, that means whatever is happening, you are not making the effort to eliminate them. You don't handle the issue administratively. Okay. You can hand them over to the police to prosecute and any other thing that will be meted out to them. But if they continue to keep the names to themselves, the punishment they meted out to the people to themselves, this will continue. It will not deter others from doing the same.
We heard from the minister just a while ago saying that they have initiated talks to introduce serialization as the immediate step. Later, they will look at digitizing the entire process. Your reaction to that? What do you make of that?
Yes, serialization, fine. Because if you all enter the examination hall, you are given the same question paper, but your numbers are different. How are you going to do it? But the fact is that the questions leak before they enter the examination hall. So it is going to be a bit difficult. But what it should also do is that you don't know which paper is coming, because if there are about 15 sets of questions, and then the questions have been changed in their numbers, how are you going to get all the 15 papers leaked? That will be very difficult to do. So serialization is fine. But I think the way forward should be the digitization or electronic examinations.
And Honorable, just before, because of time, this is happening at a time when you're on recess. What can we expect when the House resumes?
Oh, yeah, when we resume, we're going to make a statement on it and ask the Speaker to hold the Minister for Education before the House to explain and give assurances as to what the ministry will be doing to ensure that the leakages are stopped. That is what we have planned already to do.
But how about engaging WAEC, because they appeared before you directly last year?
The committee is now, Parliament is now on recess. But I think that it will be better we do so that the Speaker can either refer whatever the minister will tell us to maybe engage WAEC. This time we'll engage the minister first, because he has a supervisory role over the West Examinations Council and not the committee. Yeah.
I'm grateful that you could join us. That's Peter Nochu Kotui, the ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, and as minutes still to come, Nigerian traders in Ghana appeal to President Akufo-Addo to intervene in what they say are threats by Ghanaian counterparts to unleash violence on them. And coming up in business, Ghana's economy expands by 3.9% in the second quarter of this year, according to provisional figures from the Ghana Statistical Service.
Essentially, as I indicated, is the contraction in the oil and gas of about 10.7% that led to the 3.9. Otherwise, would have seen a much bigger growth for the second quarter of 2021. I mean, the
It's time for business with me, Charles Aite. Ghana's economy expanded by 3.9% in the second quarter of this year, and that's according to provisional figures from the Ghana Statistical Service. Now, this gross domestic product growth rate was driven by a strong pickup in the services and agri sectors. The health and social work, information and communication technology, hotel and restaurant, as well as fishing sectors expanded significantly. The industrial sector, however, contracted by only 4.3%. We have more on this in this report.
This growth is a significant jump from the rate recorded in the previous quarter, as well as same time last year when the economy contracted by 5.7%. The current growth rate, driven by over 11 percentage points in the services sector, is attributed to activities in trade and communication technology.
And the growth that we saw in the services sector was largely driven by health and social work that grew by 22% on a year-on-year basis, but because it has a relatively lower share compared to trade, repairs of vehicles and household goods, they contributed more to the 11% that we saw in the services sector. So the two main subsectors in the services sector that drove the 11% growth that we saw in the services sector were trade, repair of vehicles and household goods, and information and communication, although their year-on-year change was relatively smaller than what we saw in health and social work.
The contraction in the industrial sector has been consistent since the outbreak of the pandemic, although it grew marginally in the first quarter of the year. Agriculture followed the services sector with a 5.5% growth. Professor Kobuna Inim hinted that, but for the contraction in the extractive sector, the economy could have performed better than the 3.9%.
I mean, essentially, as I indicated, is the contraction in the oil and gas of about 10.7% that led to the 3.9. Otherwise, would have seen a much bigger growth for the second quarter of 2021. I mean, the main source of the slow growth, that is the 3.9, was driven by oil and gas. So if you're talking about non-oil GDP, then services 11% and agri 5.5% would really have pushed the growth rate much higher than 3.9.
When seasonally adjusted, Ghana's raw GDP increased by 0.9% in the quarter.
Now, President Akufo-Addo has charged the Ministries for Railway Development as well as the Ministry of Finance to fast-track the completion of railways along the eastern and western corridors to aid bauxite mining and accrue more earnings for the country. According to him, the success of bauxite mining in the country depends on a good railway network. President Akufo-Addo disclosed this at the signing ceremony of Project 2 of the Integrated Aluminium Industry Development between the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation as well as Rockshop International Limited, a company in the mining value chain.
Ghana has substantial deposits of bauxite in regions of Ijumu, Yinehi, and Kibi, but most of them remain unexploited. However, the country is currently putting measures in place to increase bauxite mining activities. President Akufo-Addo believes the success will depend on a good railway network, hence charging the ministries for railway development and finance to speed up the completion of railways along the eastern and western corridors.
The vision of building an integrated aluminum industry is very important to us all, and particularly dear to me, given the significant transformational impact it will have on the development of our economy and the considerable potential it has for wealth creation. It is at the heart of our industrial transformation agenda. The execution of 4 projects in Awaso, Yinehi, Pasaso, and Chebi will lead to the creation of business ventures that will see us reducing our reliance on the import of aluminum products and enable us to develop employment and high-paying jobs for our people. They will also ensure integration and value addition across the bauxite aluminum value chain. If we are to be successful in this venture, the development of our nation's railway infrastructure will be vital. I've thus directed the Ministers for Railway Development and Finance to work together to accelerate the realization of our Western and Eastern railway lines railway network. The port infrastructure necessary to efficient operations for exportation of bulk items has to be developed in tandem, as we seek to do in the Buankra Inland Port Project.
Meanwhile, mining of bauxite in the country will require about $6 billion investments from the private sector. That's according to the Chief Executive of the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, Michael Ansa. He indicated that though the expected amount is one of the audacious industrial programs, he believes it will be utilized properly to fully achieve the exploitation of bauxite reserves and prioritize value addition for both local and international markets.
The projects ensure the full utilization of the bauxite reserves that we have across 3 key locations: in Awaso in the Western North region, in Yinehi and in Pasaso in the Ashanti region, and in Chebi in the Eastern region. These projects uniquely underline our overriding goal of value addition, which is at the core of what GIADEC is all about. The 4 projects together will require private sector-led investments up to $6 billion, making this one of the most ambitious, indeed audacious, industrial development programs since our independence.
GIADEC officially launched the Integrated Aluminium Industry Projects yesterday. The projects include expansion of existing mine at Awaso, development of mines at Yinehi and Pasaso and Chebi, as well as the modernization and expansion of the Valco smelter in Tema.
That's it for business. We have sports coming up. Do stay.
The business segment was brought to you by
Many thanks for staying with us. Time to bring you sports, and we begin with updates on the Black Stars coaching vacancy. Former Black Stars coach Milovan Raivac is leading the race to replace CK Akono, who was sacked on Monday. There is more in the following report.
The 67-year-old was contacted by the Ghana FA 3-man committee led by Vice President Mark Addo on Monday night, following their decision to part company with Akono. The committee also contacted former Zambia, Ivory Coast and Morocco coach Hervé Renard, Aston Villa under-23 coach George Boateng and Borussia Dortmund assistant coach Otto Addo for the vacant post. George Boateng, whose work is believed to be loved by the GFA president Keto Kreku, was offered the position of an assistant. He turned down the offer, insisting the top job is what he wants. Sources say Boateng has, however, agreed to play the role of a scout for the team instead when they go for the next Africa Cup in January. Otto Addo, who featured for Ghana at the 2006 World Cup in Germany, contacted CK Akono for insight about the job. For Renard, who is the #1 choice of the FA PR sources, his reported current monthly salary of $100,000 is a major issue. GFA investigations, however, revealed that he is on a $70,000 per month salary in his current job as Saudi Arabia national team coach. This figure is still on the high side, but the FA appeared willing to pay if the money would be available from the government. Mathematically, the FA realized they would need $2.4 million across a 2-year contract duration on the table for all coaches contacted, a figure they cannot guarantee is available. As a result, the football governing body is settling on Milovan, who led Ghana to the final of the 2010 AFCON in Angola, losing 1-0 to Egypt, and the quarter-final of the World Cup in South Africa the same year. Milo, as the Serbian is affectionately known, commanded respect from officials and players alike, and the leadership is convinced a second coming is necessary. Their choice will be debated by the executive committee before an announcement is made. He is expected to sign a 2-year deal with a salary of about $45,000.
Let's bring you updates from tonight's UEFA Champions League action, and there's a game going on at Anfield and the other match venues. Liverpool have got it all to do against AC Milan, and there you see on your screen Club Brugge at halftime holding Paris Saint-Germain to a 1-1 draw. Manchester City, they lead RB Leipzig by 3-1. Atletico Madrid at halftime goalless against FC Porto. And at halftime is Liverpool, who are down by 2-1 against AC Milan. And of course, there is also Besiktas, who are down by 2-1 against Borussia Dortmund. That game has ended. Halftime between Sporting Lisbon and Ajax. Ajax lead Sporting away from home by 3-1. FC Sheriff also leading Shakhtar Donetsk by 2-0, and Inter Milan at halftime, they are drawing goalless at the moment. That game between FC Sheriff and Shakhtar has ended, Sheriff winning by 2-0. And that's it for sports. We'll bring you more sports later in the bulletin. And for our viewers on Joy Prime, that will be all. The news continues here on the Joy News channel.
Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime, and shortly after Showbiz, we'll be speaking to Guta about the issues they're raising with their Nigerian counterparts. And of course, the Nigerian traders here have issues with what they say are threats by their Ghanaian counterparts. We'll be speaking to them, but that'll be after Showbiz with Becky, who is already here. Hello, Bex.
Hello to you.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good.
All right, let's talk about Celestine Donko. She is urging gospel musicians to be or to stay together. I don't know why she's saying this. I don't know whether she thinks that the industry is not together, but this is what she's saying, calling them to support each other because that's the only way out. That's the only way they can, you know, get to the next level. Okay. Celestine Donko there. Let's move away from.
She's been at this for a while, though.
Yeah.
I guess it's important.
Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about Fuso DG. He is saying that, look, the music industry concentrates on promoting your own, concentrate on promoting your awards, concentrate on promoting everything Ghanaian and stop following and stop chasing the foreign awards and all. And sometimes he also mentioned that these awards sometimes are not even real. They are fake awards. And so the only way that Ghana can go to the rest of the world with their craft is by supporting and genuinely supporting each other.
So fixated on the wrong things. So again, we need to just learn to celebrate Ghana talent, learn to build our own and focus on building our own platforms so we can actually say no to other people, because all these award shows that they're doing over there are not real. It's all relationships, and it's all, you know, there's so many artists that deserve it that don't even get it.
If you're talking about depending on relationships, then it means you had a certain relationship to win your Grammy with Ed Sheeran. Is that what you're saying?
Listen, I didn't come screaming to everyone that I got a Grammy. I gave it just as much love as I gave my Ghana Music Award. Do you understand? Because you have to whenever somebody praises you, you have to not get so fixated on it. You can celebrate, but you move on and you can continue to build, because it's the same person that will also devalue you. So we have to be very careful that if it's a win, we celebrate. If it's a loss, take it, you move on. But you don't kind of raise it so high that when you don't get it, it kind of messes up your whole journey.
There's a debate that will not go away. You know, whether or not those platforms are relevant and whether or not our craft. It's a really dicey issue. Yeah, we have to promote our own, but there's platforms that are definitely big, and once you make an appearance or a step there, it adds to your craft and to your value.
Essentially, we have a long way to go. But Ernest, have you ever, experienced social media trolls before?
No, I don't think so.
No. You don't?
No,
You've never had anybody come at you at social media? Maybe?
Well, sometimes people write comments beneath your posts, but you don't have to respond to everything. So, yeah.
So, here are some celebrities or some musicians telling us about the experience with social media trolls and how they manage it.
Yeah, very interesting there. Becky, you put it nicely as trolls, but really some of them are just bullying, cyberbullying. And I like what Sina Soul said, that it's about your peace of mind. So yeah, if people are misbehaving, if you can and you can afford it,
block them.
There's a block button.
Yeah.
And it ends it. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
All right, so that's it for Showbiz. We have more stories for you. Please don't go away. Nigerian nationals residing and trading in Ghana are asking President Akufo-Addo to intervene and in the rekindled feud, with their counterparts in Ghana. The Nigerian Union of Traders Association, Ghana, NUTAG, also wants Ghanaian authorities to address what they describe as bizarre statements by the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, to attack and forcibly remove Nigerian traders found in Ghanaian shops in spite of an existing roadmaps to address the prolonged impasse. Let me share with you details of a statement issued. First, the leadership of GUTA. So it says that the Nigerian Union of Traders Association in Ghana, NUTAG, has completely rejected the comments made by their counterpart. Now, government prevailed on them. Of course, so those are the details on your screens there. The statement released by the Ghana Union of Traders Association of Ghana. That's the GUTA statement. Their counterpart in Nigeria also issued a statement. The Nigerian Union of Traders Association of Ghana has completely rejected the special dispensation offered to them by the government of Ghana after a series of diplomatic efforts by both Ghana and Nigeria governments. Government prevailed on us, the Ghanaian counterpart, GUTA, to exercise restraint as the two sister states try to find a lasting solution to the long-standing issue of invasion of the markets by foreign retail traders. As a result, the operation of the Committee on Foreign Retail Trade, which was tasked to check and close down shops of recalcitrant foreigners, was also halted. In a joint committee meeting of Ghana and Nigeria, when the committee asked the leadership of the Ghanaian traders to provide it with the data of their membership and other relevant documentation on their businesses to enable the committee discuss the issue and make an informed decision in line with the committee's terms of reference, the Nigerian traders also asked for time to produce the documents, which was granted. It continues by saying at the following meeting, however, they failed to provide the needed information and told the committee that they would not comply with the request of the joint committee. In fact, the incongruous attitude of the Nigerian traders in Ghana is not only an affront but also a well-orchestrated ploy to frustrate the committee, state and the people of Ghana. In view of this, we of the Ghana Union of Traders Association wish to appeal to the Committee on Foreign Retail Trade to, as a matter of urgency, resume its operations without any delay, as the behavior of the Nigerian traders has seriously provoked Ghanaian traders and reigniting agitations in the markets. The leaders of Guta are making all efforts to calm down tempers, but what we cannot assure of is to have influence again over the already frustrated and desperate traders. We hereby want the world to bear witness to the fact that we, das Guta, have given some concessions to our Nigerian counterpart, but they have failed to accept, for which there's nothing more we can do than to call for immediate continuation of the operations of the Committee on Foreign Retail Trade to ensure sanity in our markets. And this is signed by Alpha Shabandi, Secretary of Guta. So the statement by the Nigerian traders also reads, and we'll bring you details on your screen shortly. It says that we want to set the record straight concerning Guta's recent press release in which they threaten to block up the remaining shops owned by Nigerian nationals, purporting that we have rejected the concessions given to us. We were taken aback by this attitude of Guta rushing to the press anytime they like to castigate Nigerian government and her people. This is because we rose from our last meeting with kind permission of the two co-chairs of the Joint Implementation Task Force. We, the Nigerian Union of Traders Association, Ghana, were invited by the Honorable Minister of Trade and Industry last month for a brief on the outcome of the bilateral meetings between Ghana and Nigeria held in Accra on the 31st of May 2021, and we respectfully honored the invitation, even though it was as a short notice. At that meeting, we handed what we refer to as the final communique of the aforementioned bilateral meeting. He also told us that a joint implementation task force will be inaugurated immediately. We tried to raise issue with the said final communique and terms of reference, but all our effort was not entertained, as the minister explained that the only authority that can alter anything on the document is the Interministerial Committee made up of both Ghanaian and Nigerian government representatives. To let peace reign, we agreed to start the process and thereafter seek amendments to some of the clauses that altered the concessions that was originally agreed at the bilateral meeting, which was succinctly captured in the speech of the Right Honourable Speaker of Ghana's Parliament to the Nigerian National Assembly members when he visited Nigeria immediately after the bilateral meetings. So it goes on to talk about the other issues. We've been joined on Zoom by the president of Guta, Dr. Joseph Obeng, and Chukwuemeka Inanji, who is the president of NUTAG. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here on Join Israel. Let me start with you, Dr. Joseph Obeng. You have described the review as retrogressive. Why is that?
Yeah, a review of what? Because this is a special dispensation that was clearly communicated to the government of Nigeria, and it was duly launched at the Alisa Hotel, where Nigerian traders were fully represented. So I don't know the review that you're talking about. The joint committee that have been set by the two countries, as a matter of fact, the co-chair represent the two countries, one each from the countries. They are there. So how can somebody go and even change or amend the communique that two countries have assigned to? It is not true. They are spewing a lot of lies. And so at the terms of reference, they have to produce their documents. And so they played delay tactics. They didn't want to produce. You remember that when the task force closed their shops, they were flouting around documents on TV and everywhere that they have all their documents, they have everything intact, and yet their shops were being closed. And now they say that they've given you special dispensation, and the special dispensation cannot come in abstract. You have to produce documents so that we say that, okay, these people are cleared for the dispensation, because it is up to a certain year. And so unless you produce documents, how can they even work on this dispensation? So they pleaded for time, and it was granted them. And when the time was due for them to produce this document, they said that they cannot comply. And nobody understood, even to the astonishment of their own rep there, and the astonishment of the two co-chairmen.
But Dr. Bain, when you read the statement that NUTAG released today, it said that a lot of the things were agreed on, and that reflected in what the Honorable Speaker of Parliament said before the Nigerian Assembly. And you recall that the Speaker did indeed say that a special dispensation will be given to them where the required amount of $1 million will be waived specially for Nigerian traders.
But you also recall that we said that whatever was communicated there is not what is in the communique, because we were privy to the communique, and so they have they are talking what will suit them. It is not true, because the speaker was talking to a communique, and the communique was with the trade ministry, and it was the trade minister who launched this communique at Alisa in full view of your ministers, and this thing was spread to us.
Okay, Dr. Obeng, kindly hold it for me. Kindly hold the line for me. We are joined by Chukwuemeka Inanji, who is president of NUTAG. Mr. Inanji, thank you for joining us. Now, is it your understanding that the dispensations that were given to you were without conditions? For instance, you heard Dr. Obeng talk about the fact that you were required to produce the document. Hello, Mr. Inanji, you have to unmute your device so we can hear you. Well, we're trying to establish contact with the president of NUTAG, Chukwuemeka Inanji. Mr. Inanji, you've joined us now. We're grateful. The understanding I'm getting from the president of GUTA is that these dispensations you talk about were subject to providing certain documentation that would then lead to further discussion on, the purview within which Nigerian traders can operate. Did you meet that requirement?
Thank you very much. Good evening to you, Ghanaian listeners. The problem with my brother, Dr. Abid, how are you? Sorry, I heard you have been bereaved. If I'm right, accept my sympathy and my heart goes for the family. We are having an issue with the GUTA with the understanding of how things goes. And I think the world should hear. That is why we come up with a press statement. I'm not going to start from day one, but let me just say to the last meeting that we did not walk out of the meeting. We did not pull out, and we did not reject any concession. The truth is that after the Honorable Minister, Ghanaian government, led by His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, granted our request of not showing the presence of $1 million or equity as a requirement for trade, and the $5,000, which is a minimum capital requirement for registration. We are so happy and glad to welcome that news. Little did we know there's another underground, plan by GUTA, because the reaction shows that they are in control.
Mr. Inanji, just before you proceed, did you agree at that meeting that you were supposed to provide documents of your members based on which further discussions will be had and you can enjoy this dispensation that you talk about?
Which meeting are you asking of? Which meeting are you talking about?
And this is the meeting that preceded the launch at Alisa.
Now, after the launch or during the launch in Alisa, the Honorable Minister read that the concession comes with dispensation. What I mean is that those who have been in Ghana before on 31st December 2020 will benefit from this concession.
Okay.
And he raised up again that every other trader that will come after that will have to fully provide all requirements. We were okay with that. Then he came down and says that all the traders should also obey Section 40 of GIPC Act 865. And he says that foreigners should not rent shops in Ghana.
Okay.
And we objected it. In fact, the acting high commissioner was the one who raised objection. And Dr. Bin here, who was the one who explained that when we are asking where is market, because we were expecting that they are saying, okay, you should move out of market and go and rent somewhere. And it says everywhere a Ghanaian trader is in Ghana is their market, which means we cannot renew our rent, we cannot rent a new shop, meaning you should go after your rent have finished. This is the handwriting on the wall. At the first meeting, at that point, the acting high commissioner raised the objection. The Minister of Trade told him clearly that he's not going to do anything about the document, that he should allow the joint committee to work and deliberate on it and phantom a way in which they work. We agreed. And the meeting was called in next 3 days. That is 13th of August. Okay. We all there when the issue again was raised. And I told them that the concession we have cannot work with when our rent finishes, we should pack and go. The concession is that if you don't have registration, come and register, stay and trade. And they said no, that we have to now provide our rent agreement, tenancy agreement. That is the only way they can start working. I said, listen, this concession did not come with such clauses. And he can agree with me. If he has a place, there is a clauses that in that the concession that was given to us, they should show us. The issue of rent comes under. And I said to them that number 1, number 3 is the clause. 3 and 4 is eradication, not even evacuation. Eradication of Nigeria traders from Ghana actually, not even a Ghana market.
Okay.
That 2 cannot work. That was my word. And I told them that the 2 cannot work. That if you say you are giving us concession, we take concession, we stand.
Okay, kindly hold it for me. Dr. Bain, clearly he's denying 2 key things that you mentioned, that they walked out of the meeting and refused to produce the document. But you have called for the a revival of the operation. Would you proceed with this, or you think that calling for a meeting to resolve the issue will rather be the way forward?
Oh, I don't think my brothers want peace. And as a matter of fact, the way they are operating here, I think they are very much comfortable with it, because they always play on emotions that to suggest that people want to send them packing. That is not fair. Ghana and Nigeria have gotten a very good relationship. And about 80% of Nigerians who are staying here are enjoying their peace. They are doing legitimate businesses. They are enjoying the Ghanaian hospitality. And that these people need to be reprimanded, because then they want to spoil this relationship. They keep on shifting them. This is communique that was jointly signed by 2 countries, and nobody have the right to amend it. Not Guta cannot influence it. All that these people have to do, if they don't want the special dispensation, because we have to give concession. You know that we are talking about law, and so the law is on our side. And then our leaders have to plead with Guta and say that because we want to, because of continental free trade, because of ECOWAS, because we are neighbors, because Nigerians are, please give, what do you think we can do so that peace will prevail? And then we give some of our rights to them and see how they are behaving.
So Dr. Bain, if I understand you,
of our people, because when the leadership of Guta was giving this concession, we did not even tell our members who just said no, because if the law says this, the law says this. Let me tell you, now his misunderstanding of the concession.
Yeah.
What the concession seek to do is that we want to clear all recalcitrant traders who do not have who do not meet the GIPC law. And now their country came to plead that we should temper justice with mercy. And so what the ministry seek to do is to allow those people who have been here since until 2020 to be here, because at least we are putting a human face. They've rented their shops and all that.
But Dr. Bin, that is exactly what he said.
If I do not finish, he's just the essence was them to be in their place of work and all that, regularize their documents, because the law in the GRPC Act do not allow people who do not foreigners who do not have requisite documents to have access to rental of shops. And this what it was clearly communicated to them. Those after 2020, all of them were not even to come in at all, because then the law is going to strictly apply. So it is a special dispensation, and that you have to even take this, and then while the committee is working, then if even the both countries will talk again, then you have to give the respect, but you do not dictate the pace for anybody, because we are not going to even give any more concession in any way. So it's not under his purview or his authority to say that we want this dispensation or not. He has no right. I cannot go to his country and then flout his sovereign law.
Dr. Bin, I want to thank you for your time.
In Nigeria, can any Ghanaian do that?
I want to thank you for joining us.
They have been doing this for all these years. It's not fair. They have to respect the leadership of the two countries. They are just doing something that will create the impression that Ghana and Nigeria have a problem. But it's because of these few recalcitrant traders. As many as over 80% of Nigerians staying here are doing their legitimate. Those who are going to school are going.
Dr. Bin, please hold on for me. Let me quickly get a reaction from Mr. Inanji. Mr. Inanji, so the point is that there's a section of you that are supposed to enjoy this dispensation, beyond which the others are supposed to comply with the rules. That is the understanding that Dr. Bin gives us from the communique that was signed. What do you intend to do about this? He says they cannot give you any more, and you simply have to comply. Shouldn't that just solve the issues there?
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Bin, I think by now we should be coming down. We are growing old just like me, and we have to be relaxing and make sure that the future, our children will enjoy this, this continent of ours. What happened is that I think by the statement I made earlier, you can just see that the concession that were given to us was gladly received by Nigeria traders, and we are so much thankful to the government of Ghana, so much expecting it to be implemented, until Dr. Bin and his group hijacked it at a point and did not want it to work. And as they may say, we have not rejected anything. The permission was sought by the Joint Commissioner. It was granted by the co-chair, which told us to go back to our government to find a solution to it. And we have written to Nigeria government, calling on them to intervene in this matter as well. We have called on Akufo-Addo to regulate the trade from the Ghanaian Trade Association, which have been harassing our members all the day. Having said that, we cannot solve this thing on this TV station. We have to go back to the drawing board and look at the whole clauses and know how it works. The issue is that if what Dr. Bin and his group calls concession is that anybody his rent finishes, he should go home, I'm saying that is not concession, that is eradication. And if they are demanding for our tenancy agreement, what they needed is to know when your shop will expire. And I tell you, many shops have expired because some of the shops have been locked for almost 2 years, some are almost 10 months or more than 10 months. So those shops have expired. There's no need of bringing the tenancy agreement. But if God will help us and Mr. Bin and his people agree for the concession that given to us by the people of Ghana and the president of Ghana to work, What will happen is that institution or committees should be organized so that they will tell us what to do. And based on their direction, we do what we're supposed to do, regularize our papers, get the tax stream, and continue our businesses. But if he says that bring your documents, if your tenancy agreement expires, then you cannot rent the shop, you cannot renew. What it means is that they are sacking us in concealment.
Well, he disagrees with that interpretation. And like you said, you'd be going back to the committee to see how you can resolve it. We'll be following this closely. And I'm grateful that you joined us. Chukwuemeka Inanji, that's the president of NUTAG. And earlier we had Dr. Joseph Obeng, who is the president of NUTAG. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time here on Joy News Prime.
To business now, a report by the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry shows that less than 10% of entrepreneurs are losing out of a 1.1 million daily profit from online sales marketing. The Chamber's Accra chapter is thereby hosting a cross-section of entrepreneurs for a workshop on international best practices to compete digitally under the Continental Free Trade Agreement area. We have more in this report. A lot has changed quickly within the past couple of years, especially coming off the back of COVID-19 and the emergence of the Continental Free Trade Agreement area. On global search websites, people can make about 5.6 billion searches each day. As of January this year, there were about 15.7 million internet users, 8.2 million social media users in Ghana alone. According to the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, entrepreneurs can make the best out of this by expanding their customer clientele to millions of customers within an hour.
Business has changed. Okay, today you can't do without digital marketing. Okay, and the Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement is here, and it is important to prepare the Ghanaian business. As much as it's an opportunity, it is also a threat, because now how will a small business will be able to cover all these countries, if they don't have the digital infrastructure to enable them to go global and to fit in the new digital age.
Speaking to Joy Business at a two-day digital marketing workshop and clinic, the head of growth strategy for Paragon Digital Marketing, Kwabena Epienim, explained the need for small enterprises to be resilient in the digital space to attract more investment.
Almost everyone that we are targeting now is online. Everyone is using a smartphone, watching a YouTube video or on Facebook. So we should change our mindset on how we want to reach them and leverage on what we have now. Marketing on Facebook is literally free. Marketing on YouTube is literally free. All we have to do is to create a lot of content so that we can reach these people, get them to consume it, change what they think about so we can sell our products to them.
The two-day digital marketing workshop and clinic is part of efforts by the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry to boost the capacity of small enterprises and make them competitive in the Continental Free Trade Agreement area. In a bid to ensure transparency in the extractive industry, the Ministry of Finance and the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative have launched the Opening Extractive program to ensure transparency and combat corruption in the extractive industry. Executive member of the Chamber of Mines, Christopher Pokunyako, says the beneficial ownership data helps in the issuance of mining licenses and the flagging of corruption risks in the extractive industry.
The program, a joint implementation by Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative and Open Ownership, is to facilitate the disclosure of real owners and beneficiaries of companies within and outside the extractive industry. Executive member of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Christopher Pokunyako, explained that mining firms in the country have been spending an average of about 2 million cedis annually on due diligence with partners in the local market. This, he believes, will go down with the beneficial ownership data.
So the responsibility now is on the companies that for every single company that you're going to transact with, you'll have to do a due diligence to make sure that the company is in the right standing and is doing the right thing. Think about it. We are going to do this on over 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 companies on a regular basis. It's very, very tedious or cumbersome for the companies to do that. So when this whole BO initiative came up, we jumped at it because then it gives us a very simple reference point that you can simply go to. That if I want to transact with, say, Steve & Co. company, you just go into that database, you just check who the owner is, and it takes that whole due diligence cost a bit down for all of us. So that's the main motivation as a chamber that decided to embrace this whole beneficial ownership initiative.
Deputy Minister for Finance John Kuma charged all stakeholders to jointly help to ensure that the beneficial ownership data serves the purpose for which it was invented.
Corporate anonymity remains a major obstacle in the fight against money laundering, corruption, and illicit financial flows. The cross-cutting benefits of beneficial ownership transparency in combating tax evasion and promoting safe trading and investment are also well documented. Governments, citizens, and companies increasingly rely on transparent beneficial ownership data to improve governance, particularly in the natural resource sector. Mr. Chairman, today's occasion is a significant step in the government of Ghana's efforts to tackle corruption and to increase domestic revenue mobilization necessary to finance the development agenda of the country.
Ghana was the third largest trade partner of the United States of America in sub-Saharan Africa during the whole of last year and the first half of this year. It closely follows South Africa and Nigeria, according to Bernard Harman, the Deputy Assistant U.S. Trade Representative for Africa. The U.S. will continue to implement policies, according to him, that will foster inclusive, sustainable growth and regional integration on the continent. He was speaking during the 2021 U.S.-Ghana Business Forum.
Ghana has been an important U.S. trade partner of the United States for a very long time and continues to be so. In both 2020 and during the first 6 months of this year, Ghana was the United States' third largest two-way trade partner in sub-Saharan Africa after South Africa and Nigeria. I'm encouraged that our trade flows with Ghana are recovering significantly between last year and this year. Two-way trade during the first 6 months of this year have surged nearly 57% over the same period last year. And what I think is so noteworthy about the U.S.-Ghana trade relationship is that it is diversified across so many sectors. There is not only trade and investment taking place in extractive industries, but also in agriculture, financial services, franchising, and the tech industries. There are major American corporations investing in Ghana, but also many small enterprises doing business as well. We would like to see such a trade pattern with more countries across the continent. Now, much of Ghana's exports to the United States have been under AGOA, and I'm aware that many African governments are growing concerned about the fact that AGOA is due to expire within 4 years, or at the end of 4 years. Tomorrow, the African Union Mission in Washington will be hosting the annual AGOA midterm review, and that will provide a great opportunity for our respective governments to begin a conversation about the path forward. In the coming months and years, the U.S. Chair will want to engage on this, not just with our counterparts in African governments, but also with members of the private sector, civil society, and worker groups. In thinking about post-2025, we should assess how the broadest scope of partners can derive benefit from the U.S.-Africa trade relationship. As we've come to learn, attracting investment in emerging markets requires far more than just trade preferences. And so we need to be creative and strategic about how we chart our path forward.
That'll be all for business. I'm Charles Ait. I'll leave you with a summary of international business news.
Back to sports on Joy News Prime. My name is Hans Mensand, and astute sports journalist Carl Tufor believes it will be too risky for the Ghana Football Association to reappoint Milovan Rajvac as head coach of the Black Stars after the dismissal of Siki Akono. The 67-year-old who coached the Black Stars between August 2008 and September 2010 is in pole position to land the top job. But Carl Tufor doesn't think the Serbian is the right man for the job. He was speaking earlier on Upfront with Raymond Dakwa.
There's a saying within the football fraternity that you never go back to a place where you had so much success, because the pendulum has been raised to a certain level.
Okay.
Anything below that means that you're in trouble. So if you take a look at it, millions of coaches around the world over the past 60, 70 years do not make it a habit of going back. One or two have done, and it has turned out very bad.
Okay.
So there's that record there. So one, I'll be highly surprised if Rajvac, who is a European, will come back and accept to come back. And two, I want to know what sort of figures he's quoting now.
Okay.
And that would really be in my mind. But at the end of the day, let's spell it out clearly. Whoever they choose may not necessarily be the one. Because at the end of the day, it's the government of Ghana, the people of Ghana, who are going to pay. And so if there is some belief that the payer wants somebody of a particular ilk, then all they can do is that the FA can find the person, it's Zaya Yebo, and they put it before the Minister of Sports, who puts it before Cabinet, and Cabinet says, we can't pay that. Case closed.
Now, the Ghana Swimming Association has inaugurated an 11-member committee to oversee the successful hosting of the 14th Ghana African Seniors and Junior Swimming and Open Water Championship at the Bukom International Pool in Accra. The local organizing committee is confident of getting the job done. My colleague Haruna Mubarak was there and has filed this report.
I will uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of Ghana and integrity of the National Sports Authority. So help me God. Thank you so much.
The job has officially been accepted, and the 11 members making up the local organizing committee are mandated to ensure the event becomes successful. Director General of the National Sports Authority, Professor Chumesi, pledged support for the newly formed LOC and charged them to deliver.
We'll benefit from it. On that note, I want to commend you and congratulate you for coming up with this particular competition, the hosting right that you have secured. We will support you, and I encourage members of the LOC also to be able to do their best to give us the best of competitions on the continent.
Ghana won the bid to host the 14th African Championship following the successful host of the Ghana Zone 2 Championship in March 2020 at the Bukom International Pool. President of the Ghana Swimming Association, Delphina Kwe, admits they have a real job on their hands.
But this year, you see, it's bigger than what we did last year. Last year was just Zone 2. This year is the whole of Africa. This is Ghana. And we are hoping that we will do better, far better, because we are hosting so many people than we did last year. So we need the help of the media. We need the help of everybody to help us organize this competition successfully.
Speaking on behalf of the 11-member LOC committee, Saha Kambolamte acknowledged that they relish the opportunity and believe they have the competence required for the task.
Obviously, we are confident. I mean, you could tell the people on the team are all people that have accomplished one or two things in their own right. So definitely the Ministry of Sports, the National Sports Authority, the Ghana Swimming Association saw something in each and every member of this LOC and have nominated us to be the committee that will deliver this competition, and we definitely are going to deliver.
The 14th Ghana African Seniors and Junior Swimming and Open Water Championship will be held from the 11th to the 17th of October this year.
That's it for now. More sports news at myjoyonline.com. My name is Hans Mensah. Many thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for your company on Joy News Prime today. That's it for tonight, and you have more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest Mino. Up next is PM Express. Please stay tuned in.